Welcome Adam's Faithful to something a little different from what I normally do. I want to show you a build that I have run a couple times in Fallout 4 that is rather unique, and the best Child of Adam build that I could find. This goes deeper than just making yourself look and act like a Child of Adam, and leans heavily into getting irradiated to boost your stats, defense, and damage output. So let's waste no time and help bring Adam's Kingdom to the Commonwealth. One of the best things about this build is that it is quite diverse. You can easily do a melee or ranged build, a tanky up close and personal build, or a glass cannon crit build. The basic build requires no mods, so it can be done for those that either can't have mods or don't want mods due to mods disabling achievements. The basic vanilla build will work 100% if that's your case. The advanced build only needs 1 or 2 mods if you want to get crazy. The first mod which allows you to layer armor on top of clothing, and the second to be able to take legendary effects off of certain items and place it onto others. I think some of these things like layering armor on clothing should just be a thing in the vanilla game anyway. But both of these mods are so basic that it is available on all platforms including PlayStation. So unless achievements are something you simply have to have, the advanced build is easily doable with 1 or 2 small mods. You will also need the Far Harbor DLC, as many of the radiation affected items and 1 critical piece are only accessible with the DLC. So if you have Fallout 4 and you don't have Far Harbor or haven't played it, what have you been doing with your life? The high level overview of this build all hinges on a single item that can be found in the Far Harbor DLC. The Robes of Adam's Devoted is a unique clothing item that when equipped will allow your character to be completely irradiated, while also being able to have full HP. Any and all perks, clothing, and weapons that are boosted by radiation level are then amplified by your maxed out radiation, and you're not having to compromise your HP, since you can only be irradiated to your maximum HP level. The best way to increase your total rads are to increase your HP. Your character will get some very impressive special boosts, damage boosts, and damage resistance boosts by maxing out your rads, all thanks to the wonderful blessings of Adam.
Glory to Adam.
But you didn't come here for just an overview of the build. You want to know how to do it, and if you are a hardcore min-maxer, then you can completely break the game with this build. An important note is that this build is not compatible with power armor, since getting into power armor removes the effect of the Robes of Adam's Devoted. But you will have really cool clothes and armor, so why hide all that behind power armor anyway? So when you are setting up your character, think of what kind of build you are wanting to run, and invest in the special stats that support that build. When looking at the perks that you will need for this build, you will definitely need the Nuclear Physicist, which is the 9th level for intelligence, so you'll need to invest a lot of points into intelligence. Nuclear Physicist will increase the damage from radiation weapons, first by 50% and then by 100%, but the last level of this perk is not necessary, and will probably just be a waste of time since it mainly benefits power armor and this build is not really compatible with power armor. Endurance will also be an important one. Each point that's put into it will give you an extra 0.5 HP points per level up, so leveling up endurance early on will really inflate your HP and therefore your max rads. Investing into Life Giver will also increase your max HP and therefore rad potential. Recommended perks include Ghoulish, which is the 9th level of endurance, and we're wanting to invest a lot in endurance anyway, so this works out really well. A very important note with this perk, do not get the 4th level up for this perk, because it will start filling up your HP at the expense of your rads, so you will slowly lose radiation. However, the 3rd rank of Ghoulish will cause your character to regenerate HP while irradiated, which means you will always be slowly regenerating HP, and there is a chance of making feral ghouls friendly. That is kind of a fun effect since we know ghouls are special souls in the eyes of Adam. Other perks that may be worth considering are the level 9 perk in Charisma, Wasteland Whisperer, that will allow you to pacify creatures, most importantly ghouls and other irradiated animals, and that is fun for just role-playing reasons. Lastly, Nerd Rage might be a good choice, because as you will soon see, doing this build will make it hard to see how much HP you actually have, and this perk might save you when you don't realize that you are low on health and about to die. Otherwise, invest in the perks you like and that suit the fighting style you want to use. Far Harbor has a recommended level of 30, so you are probably not going to go there right out of the vault, and And that is perfectly fine because there are things that you can do that will help you prepare. Make your way to Good Neighbor and convince Hancock to travel with you by doing the Pikmin Gallery quest and 2 Good Neighbor quests, the Silver Shroud and the Big Dig. You will then get the chance to travel with him as a companion. You will want to max out his affinity to get his companion perk. And general advice on this is Hancock is a free spirit with a keen sense of justice. Help people that need help, kill the bad guys, use chems, and periodically take your clothes off, and you will reach Hancock's max affinity in no time. Once achieved, the player will get the Isodoped Companion perk, which causes your critical hit meter to increase 20% faster than normal if you have at least 250 rads. And we are planning to have way more than that. This step is particularly important if you are doing a crit build. Plus, Hancock is such a chill guy, except for when he's not. One of the only modifications the Robes of Adam's Devoted can take is Ballistic Weave, which means that you will need to do some missions for the Railroad. If you haven't done this before, just complete the missions and quests that they give you until you recover the so-called jackpot quests, where you must recover old DIA caches. Doing 1 or 2 of these will lead to Tinker Tom wanting to talk to the player, where he informs them that there is another cache with Ballistic Fiber. After completing the mission, the player will have the Ballistic Fiber and Ballistic Weave mod, which can then be applied to the robes once we get them. If you aren't around level 30 by this point, then you can complete some other missions to get leveled enough to feel comfortable in Far Harbor. Once you make it to the island, quickly make your way to the nucleus. You will encounter Grand Zealot Richter speaking to some children of Adam, and after a quick yeeting of one of them, you can talk to Richter. Tell him you want to join, and he will tell you to make your way to the Sacred Spring, and to tell him what happens after you drink from it. This is the Visions in the Fog quest, and a hallucination ensues after drinking. The player is then brought to a place where you will find a relic that you will bring back to Richter. Once this is done, Richter will allow you into the nucleus and give you the single most critical piece of this build, the Robes of Adam's Devoted. It may not look like much, but equip the robes and you can immediately see what this is all about. The stats themselves of the robes are very unimpressive, I will admit. With only 25 damage resistance, it also has 5 radiation resistance, so what's the big deal with this thing? Well, the radiation resistance will actually increase the more you get irradiated. Go find the best source of radiation and get cooking. I find standing in the Sacred Spring and drinking the water repeatedly to have some of the highest radiation nearby. Although the water below the USS Democracy inside the nucleus is also more irradiated than normal. As your radiation increases, so does your resistance, so you will stop being irradiated from the environment, and only drinking the water will increase your rads. Keep doing this even as you see your HP whittle away until it's completely covered in red, and if you didn't have these robes on, you would be dead. But not only are you not dead, you are now able to completely heal your HP to full. Now when you do this, your HP bar should be completely red, but sometimes it will also completely disappear. But I think this depends just on the platform that you play on. Once you've healed your HP, you now have full HP and are completely irradiated. You may notice your Pip-Boy saying that you have over 2500 rad resistance, and that is due to the robes, which scale up to your radiation level. At this point, healing any rads will cause you to fall below the max allowed rads, and your HP will become capped by the radiation. So you need to be careful not to do anything to reduce your radiation, or you might get taken out by a bloatfly because you only have 1 HP. The stage is set, and you will need to continue to finish missions for the Children of Adam to get the rest of the items that make this such a killer build. Modify the rags with Ballistic Weave to give you a bit more protection, because you will likely be quite fragile for the next little bit. Talk to Richter again, and start the What Adam Requires quest, which is just a collection of smaller quests. Doing the Trial of Brother Devon is quick because it is in the nucleus, and being completely irradiated already will make the quest very easy to complete. You will then have Witch Hunt by Tectus, The Heretic, given by Richter, and Ablutions, given by Sister Mai. You choose what order to do them in because they all result in great loot. You should be able to easily find a gamma gun at the nucleus. In fact, one can be looted from the yeeted Child of Adam, so you at least have some sort of weapon. Completing The Heretic will reward you with Adam's Judgment, which is my favorite melee weapon hands down, although it can be a little big and smoky in first person. Completing Witch Hunt will reward the player with the Inquisitor's Cowl, which, I don't know if you noticed this, but I kinda like that piece of headgear. And the reward for Ablutions is Radical Conversion, which is a legendary radium rifle, giving you a great ranged weapon. There is another thing to keep in mind, that depending on how you resolve these quests will change whether or not you are eligible for being called the Inquisitor of Adam or Crusader of Adam. Now, they both result in the same reward, so this is purely up to you, but always completing these quests in the most aggressive and dogmatic way possible for the children of Adam will result in becoming an Inquisitor of Adam. Otherwise, you'll be called a Crusader. But since the reward is the same for both, really it's just a matter of preference, since NPCs will refer to you as either an Inquisitor or a Crusader. I always keep all the radiation-based weapons that I can find, no matter what my build is, because there just aren't many unless you get lucky and pull a legendary with the irradiated effect. Adam's Judgment is strong at 40 damage, plus 100 radiation damage, and there's an option to mod it for extra energy damage. This amazing looking super sledge can really put the hurt on enemies, especially if you're doing a melee build. Radical Conversion does 27 damage with 50 radiation damage per shot and can be modified to suit your build with automatic or single shot options, scopes, and really anything else rifles can accept for modifications. The Piercing legendary effect also helps quite a bit with some of the tanky creatures found on the island. The Inquisitor's Cowl will increase intelligence based on the radiation level, with 1 to intelligence for every 100 rads. Unfortunately, this caps out at 4, but since we're fully irradiated, it's an easy plus 4 to intelligence. This increased intelligence will obviously help you get more XP to help you level up and get more of those juicy perks. While you're doing these quests, save up some caps for the mother of all irradiated weapons, the Kiloton Rifle. It can only be bought at Kane's shop in the Nucleus, and it really lives up to its name. At 42 damage, 50 radiation damage, it also has the explosive perk, adding 15 damage of area effect per shot. Honestly, this weapon makes the spray and pray look like a pipe pistol. You will need to finish the Far Harbor main quest in favor of the Children of Adam, meaning that you let Far Harbor be overtaken by the fog and you don't install a synth version of Tectis at the Nucleus. Doing so will finally give you the Crusader or Inquisitor of Adam perk, which increases damage done by 10% for every 100 rads, and when fully irradiated, we are looking at least 1000 rads. So that's a full 100% more damage. This applies to ballistic, energy, and radiation damage, but unfortunately does not affect explosive damage. It is at this point that the vanilla build is basically done. Be on the lookout for irradiated legendaries, nuker grenades, and nuke mines that do a large amount of normal damage as well as radiation damage. The Shem Drown Sword is a legendary with the irradiated effect and can be a decent option for those that get tired of the slow swinging Adam's Judgment. The Gamma Gun can be upgraded to be more lethal, but make sure to stick with the normal Gamma, and not the Zeta Gun because it is much weaker and does not benefit from the Nuclear Physicist perk. Now, for those of you that want more, time to download some mods. There are several mods that allow for layering armor on top of any clothing. I use this one and it works well. This lets us equip another unique armor piece, Adam's Bulwark, which is rewarded once Far Harbor is destroyed from Tectis. If above level 40, it will spawn as a chest piece, which I recommend, but the effect is the same. It is a piece of marine armor that increases the player's damage and energy resistance according to how much radiation the player has. At 900 rads, your damage and energy resistance will be increased by 45. Now we are talking. Since Adam's Bulwark is a piece of marine armor, it only makes sense to try and complete the set, and once you do, upgrade it to the Inquisitor's marine armor to max out the stats, and tie the look in with the Adam's Bulwark. If you want to go the extra mile, then find all the pieces for the Recon Assault Armor, which is a legendary set of marine armor, and modify it to become Inquisitor armor. I always suggest the Ultra Light mod on this armor, since it is really heavy, and you won't be using power armor, since the effect from the robes of Adam's Devoted will no longer work when in the suit. This is amazing armor though, and it is second to none for anything that isn't power armor. If you want to get really crazy, download a mod that lets you add and remove legendary effects, so that as you find Rad Powered pieces of armor, you can apply the Rad Powered effect onto your Inquisitor's armor. Rad Powered increases strength by 1 for every 133 rads. And, well, I've said this a lot this video, but that's kind of your defining feature with this build. If you equip both arms and legs with Rad Powered, you can increase strength by 7 per armor piece, which is just insane, and makes it so you never have to worry about carry weight, as well as making a melee playthrough insanely overpowered. So here are some quick numbers for what you can expect from the effects of just the build. This doesn't take into account any perks or effects that you choose to invest in. For the vanilla version, where you don't have any armor, the ballistic weave on the robes and the Inquisitor's cowl will not offer a ton of protection. If you're going this route, this might be a good agility, sneak, critical build. Your damage output with Nuclear Physicist will be ×2 for all radiation damage, and once you have the Adam's Crusader or Inquisitor perk, you will do an extra 100% damage. So for some quick numbers, Adam's Judgment will now do 80 normal damage and 300 radiation damage. The Kiloton Rifle will do 82 normal damage, 150 radiation damage with the 15 explosive. The special enhancements that you can expect are +4 to intelligence from the cowl, making leveling up a lot easier and more frequent. And the other enhancements that you will enjoy are building up critical hits faster with the Isodoped perk, and always regenerating health with the help of the Ghoulish perk. Now, if you're wanting to do the armor mod, you have all the benefits of the Robes of Adam's Devoted and the Inquisitor's Cowl, which admittedly are not much, but once you get Adam's Bulwark, that piece of armor alone can add up to 60 damage and energy resistance. Get the rest of the Inquisitor Marine armor, max them out, and put them on, where you get a bonus of 23 damage resistance for legs and 22 for arms, bringing your total damage resistance to 180 and your energy to 130. That is not bad. Now if you want to go all out and use the mod that allows you to take legendary effects off of other items, you can slap Rad Powered on anything that you come across on your playthrough onto your armor. And if you have that on both arms and legs, you are looking at +7 to strength per piece of armor, which will put you at 28 strength, not counting the points that you yourself put into strength. This results in an increase in carry weight of 300 and a 300% increase in melee damage. I think you can start to see why this is so powerful. Now, this is not counting all the enhancements from whatever perks you choose for your own build. This is just the baseline for a Child of Adam build that has successfully completed Far Harbor. So your stats are going to be a lot higher based on other perks and weapon upgrades. Now, I just want to take some time and talk about radiation damage a little bit, because I bet there are some of you that don't understand exactly how it works and why it can be extremely effective, especially at higher levels and harder difficulties. Increasing game difficulty decreases player damage in order to make fights more difficult. But radiation damage is not affected. Your bullets will do less damage, but your radiation damage, they are not nerfed by the difficulty. Similarly, as enemies get more difficult as you progress through the game, their damage resistance also increases, but almost none of them have their radiation resistance increase. This once again means that radiation damage from a single strike will be worth several physical or energy damage strikes. Additionally, inflicting radiation damage has the effect of inducing radiation poisoning, which is when you see that red bar start to fill up from the right, limiting your HP. The reason this can be so useful is that any enemy that may heal themselves will never remove rads, meaning that any healing will be capped by their level of radiation poisoning, making them easier to take out. Legendary creatures also have that fun effect of almost being dead and then rejuvenating all their health in one go. This will actually prevent that, as the radiation will cap their health, and you won't have to fight the creature much again. So I mentioned this at the top of the video, because it is impossible to know your HP at a glance. So it's really useful to use a perk or effect that lets you know when you're low on HP. Really, the only way to know how much HP you have is to go to your Pip-Boy and go to the stat screen, where you can glance at how much HP you have in the bottom left. That takes extra time and extra steps. So something you can do to make sure that you don't run too low on HP is to use a perk like Nerd Rage, since that will boost your damage resistance and slow down time when you get below 20% HP. The Martyr legendary effect will also slow down time when you are below 20% health, so if you have a piece of armor with that, that can be very helpful. The auto stim effect on a piece of armor also can be very useful, since it will stim pack you once you are in low health. So, there you go. You know the hows and the whys, so it's time for you to give it a shot. Something I like to do is to have the Wasteland Whisperer perk and only use it on ghouls or other radioactive creatures, like I have some sort of blessing from Adam to control his creations. There is a good amount of roleplay that can happen. You can be an eager convert led by Adam, or maybe you're more reluctant to join, but you're willing to give it a shot. Maybe you are a diehard faithful all the way through, or you end up going through a crisis of faith. How you choose to solve quests and help people can be justified by what kind of follower you end up being. So, you need to ask yourself. What kind of follower are you?